Shared it. Okay. Going live. Okay, we are streaming. We are live on Facebook. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I want to make sure that I share this to my Burnout Proof Therapist Moms group. I'm going to do that now. Okay, there we go. We should be streaming all over the place.
Good.
Hello, everybody. If anybody pops in to join us, we're so happy that you're here. And if you're catching the replay, that's great too. So anybody who stops by, please just drop a comment and let us know that you are here and say hello. All right, so I'm here with Alicia and Jenny, and we may have some other contributors joining us as well. But we are here to have a chat about one of the things that I see come up all of the time with other therapists, entrepreneurs, is how the heck do you find the time? How do you find the time to build your additional income streams? You know, if you're out there thinking of purchasing Therabundle, how are you going to find the time to, actually dig into all of these courses or even sign up for the courses? So that's what we're going to talk about today, how to find the time. And we're also going to share about our offers and this absolutely incredible, amazing bundle. And I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. It's amazing. Okay, so who wants to go first? If you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you and who you are and what you do, and tell us your top tips for how you make or find time to reach towards your personal and professional goals, to do the things that are priorities while you're also still doing life. Who wants to go first?
I'm happy to start. I was actually just talking about this in a call earlier today. Nice. I have my trusty water here.
I went with the Halloween theme.
So I was just talking about this actually with some other fellow contributors and folks in Therabundle earlier, of how do we protect our time so that we can make sure that we're doing things that are going to be the most helpful to us and also the most meaningful. And one thing that I was sharing was about the importance of limiting my time or limiting my activities, right? Being super choosy and picky about the things that I am doing and the places that where I'm spending my time. And that can be hard because sometimes it's like, oh, that FOMO like kicks in and what am I missing out on? But it has become super, super important for me. And so even when it comes to something like Therabundle or any bundle, I think that my main recommendation to people who are purchasing is to limit yourself. There are over 90 amazing things in this. And I actually only want you to pick like 3 to 5, like 5 max. Because one thing that can be frustrating is there's so many awesome things and you sign up for them and then you feel like shit because you didn't do them. And so that FOMO can then turn into like, it's this double-edged sword. And so limiting the things that I'm doing, being choosy with my time and energy is the main way that I'm working on protecting it now.
Do you have some guidelines for that, or how do you make that decision?
It really, well, so there are like clear logistical things like I have a young family that is obviously going to come first. But a lot of it is just like my gut of like, okay, is my gut saying that this is going to be helpful, that this is going to serve me? Especially when it comes to choices about where I'm spending my time with my business and my professional hours. And so, certainly thinking about like the clear cut, like, these are the things that I have to prioritize, that I want to prioritize first with things like family. But then from there, and it takes, I sort of like digress or transition there, because it takes time to be able to listen to your gut. It's not the easiest thing. But when we do, typically our gut isn't wrong, right? It's just like that Malcolm Gladwell book, Blank. Like, it's pretty much always right. Even when it feels scary, even when we want to doubt it. And so it's just a practice I think I've been cultivating over time, of being able to listen to it.
That's wonderful. So do you do that kind of on a daily basis, or are you looking at your week, or just kind of as needed, where you stop and check in with your gut on what your priorities are?
Michelle, you know that I am living every minute in the moment.
Well, people out there, Jenny has a new-ish, fairly new baby. So, I know that's the case right now.
Yeah. So right
When you have a
now
new
it
baby,
is
you're
just like,
flying by the seat of your
what is in
pants.
front of me?
But ideally, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
would there be a structure to that? Like, would you look at your whole week ahead, or would you plan out your day, or would you is it just kind of wing it as you go, trusting your gut?
So I like to know what I have coming up, which requires me to make choices. I think for me, I really am though kind of a wing it person. I have like larger sort of like visions. I kind of like know generally where I'm going and what I want to be doing. But then the way that it ends up playing out is much more in the moment. Like I think back to last year, you and me and Ashley sat down to do quarterly planning.
Mhm,
And I think it was a wonderful goal. And it was not something that I was able to keep up with or maintain.
mhm.
And so right now in my life, I don't know if it was ever me either. Like that's just not something that's my strength. And I guess that's why I've had to cultivate the listening to my gut, because it's not something that I'm very good at in terms of planning things out like way ahead of time and then following that plan.
That's wonderful, though. That's wonderful to know that that works for you, and there's a lot of people out there that that is going to work best for them, is to just take it moment by moment, day by day, learn to tune in with your gut, and really
Mhm.
follow your values and your priorities, and not worry about sitting down and hashing out a plan or anything.
Because
Not to
it
say
ends
that
up
you
being
don't
more
have plans.
stressful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in my offer in Therabundle, I actually walk people through planning out their self-care.
Yeah, yes. Well, why don't we, before we transition, tell
Okay.
us about you, Jenny. Tell us about you and what you do and who you are, and then go ahead and tell us about your Therabundle planning your self-care. That is perfect for this.
Yeah. So, I am a trauma therapist. I'm a psychologist based out of Houston, and I work with primarily adults now. Although I was trained as a child psychologist, but so now I primarily work with adults who've experienced trauma and are dealing with things like PTSD. And I also run the Brave Trauma Therapist Collective, which is a community for trauma therapists where we're able to come together and learn and support each other, provide consultation. And it is through my work with Brave that I was able to meet you incredible ladies and become part of Therabundle. And my offer this year is my 5 days to sustainable self-care challenge. And it is small, very like easily digestible videos over the course of 5 days to help participants develop whatever their own sustainable self-care plan is going to look like. The longest video is actually like the scheduling video, and it's for the people who want to be able to do that. That's again actually really not how I function with my self-care either. But I know a lot of people, at least when they first start out making changes, they want to have structure to it. They want to see what it's going to look like and how it may play out, whether or not it actually ends up being like that in the end. And so that's why that lesson is there, to plan it out. But the goal is to really reframe the concept of self-care, because it has been weaponized, especially for people who are in helping professions. Like, well, why aren't you just taking better care of yourself?
Mm,
And
weaponized. That's
yeah,
such a strong word.
It has been. I mean, like in our own communities, people who receive supervision hear that a lot. I think even people who are not therapists or helping professionals, there's this expectation that we're perfect, that we do all the perfect things and take care of ourselves. And that's just not realistic because we're humans. It's not helpful. And then we lose sight of those little things that count as self-care, like having my dog in here right now,
Mm,
brushing my teeth, right? Like these
mhm.
things that we actually do every day, but we don't label accurately. And then we end up with this message of like, oh, I'm just not taking care of myself. I'm not doing all these things when we actually are doing a lot every day. And so that's the ultimate goal of the 5-day challenge, is to really reframe self-care, to be able to give ourselves permission to acknowledge the ways that we are practicing it, and then to make some decisions about how you maybe want to add in some other things if you do, when, how, where. But that's just an invitation. It's not a requirement.
I love that. That is so great. And one of the things that's really cool about the bundle this year is that there's such a wide variety of offers in there. There's everything from, SEO and content creation and YouTube, how to do a YouTube channel, to things like Jenny's self-care challenge. And I mean, just such a wide variety. So anybody who hasn't checked it out yet, make sure you check out that list. And I
Yeah.
love your suggestion too of pick 3 to 5. If you try to sign up for 93 things, your email is going to be overwhelmed. They're going to go in your course graveyard and you're never going to actually do them. So pick 3 to 5 that you want to actually complete and
Mhm.
let them
And you'll
work
still
for
be
you.
saving a ton of money, like just with 3 of them. Like
Absolutely.
it's like $300 if you just pick a couple of them. So take some of that guilt off of, I need to get my money's worth. You're going to, no matter what.
Right.
Absolutely. If you pick up almost any 3 things in that bundle, you will get your money's worth. Plus, a lot of people are throwing in bonuses or special offers on other things if you wanted to pick up something else. So it's worth it. 3 to 5 is the perfect number, I think. I'll probably do more like 10, and that'll be a
I
lot.
did 10. I was like, oh, I should have listened to you before I signed up for my 10.
I haven't signed up yet,
But to
but I
be fair,
will.
I was mindful and like I didn't do all 10 courses. So I spread it out of, okay, here's some digital products, here's
Oh,
some
yeah.
templates, here's some courses. And so that way I don't feel rushed of I have to do 10 courses in, a couple of months.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah. Love that. Okay. Well, Alicia, how about you? Share some of your tips and tools of how you find the time or make the time.
I actually echo a lot of what Jenny has said. I do quarterly planning, but not like a year. So like I pick like a season of my life. And so that's where I kind of find my balance of I do want to kind of plan ahead and kind of know what I'm working towards and connecting with my why. But I don't know where I'm going to be in next summer. And so I don't want to set myself up for taking on too much or life changing. So I pick a project to work on every quarter. And so that helps me. And then I love my Kanban board. I got the idea from Amber Lida, who is another contributor, and I break it into small tasks. So if my goal for this season of life is like redo my website SEO, that's a huge task that like just thinking about that gives me anxiety. It's overwhelming. I'm going to push that off till next year. But if I say, hey, look up 5 keywords for mental health, add some alt text to my pictures on my homepage. Well, that's something that I might have energy for, and I can then listen to myself. What do I have the time and energy for each day? And it helps motivate me, keeps that momentum going, and just like it just works for my brain. So breaking things down, but always connecting to that why and that big picture in the end as well.
Yeah. So how do you connect with your why? Like on a
That's
practical level, how do you do that?
I think that's where I do need a little bit of that planning to come in, just to, about every quarter, I'll kind of check in with my values, my goals, just do I want to change more time for myself? Am I like leaning a little too hard into work right now? And maybe I need a season of rest and connection with my friends and my family. So maybe that's picking a project that maybe doesn't require me to do a lot of things. And so just checking in with my values, my energy levels, the goals that I'm having, my income goals, and just like what's exciting me too. I think that's a cool thing about being a little therapreneur is getting to try new things. And I am my own boss. So if I don't want to do something, most of the time I don't have to do it. Laws and ethics, to be discussed. But so yeah, just connecting with my joy, my values, my energy.
I love that. That's wonderful. Okay, well, tell us about you and what you do and who you are, and then tell us about your offer in Therabundle this year.
Yeah, I'm Alicia. I'm a virtual therapist and coach based out in Michigan. I work primarily with women and other therapists and entrepreneurs who are dealing with a lot of imposter syndrome, burnout, anxiety, and I take a very systemic lens. And so I actually loved what you were saying, Jenny, about the weaponized self-care, because I feel like burnout is like, oh, you're burned out, well, just go do some self-care. And it's like, no, self-care is a tool. It is not a cure, and we need it in its prevention. But I don't need to watch a self-care webinar that my manager sends me in my community mental health agency and then be bombarded with 40 cases and endless amounts of paperwork and no support from people and shame if I take time off. Like, self-care is not going to fix that. So I just loved that language there. But so yeah, I work a lot with burnout, anxiety. I'm helping other therapists find meaningful balance in their lives so they can work hard, but also play hard and enjoy those joyful moments. And then my offer this year is about content marketing without getting burned out. So it's called A Balanced Guide to Content Marketing, and kind of just a self journey, right? Like, I did no formal training in grad school about how the heck to run a business. It's cool to get all of these trainings and offers from people, but then I get like the shiny object syndrome. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. And it's really easy to get burned out with just marketing. And especially as a newer person, if that's where you are in your journey, you might not know what works. And we might be comparing ourselves to other people and saying, well, this person just said that they posted an Instagram and they got 4 consult calls. I posted 4 reels and I got nothing. It must be a me thing. And we start beating ourselves up and thinking we're not cut out for it, when really it just might not be our strategy, and that's okay. So really giving people permission to do what works best for them so they can focus on doing the work that they actually like doing.
I love that. Or feeling like you have to do all the things, all the platforms. I have to do all the reels and the TikToks and the Instagram posts and the Facebook group. And, it's exhausting.
That's a full-time job for some people. There's literally social media managers who that is their full-time job. And we can't do it all.
Yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. That is definitely going to be one of my 5 or 10, because I need that.
I'm really excited about that too.
Yeah, I have not found my sweet spot yet on my content.
Yeah,
I have not. Okay. Well, I'm Michelle. Hi, everybody. And I am a certified EMDR therapist in Columbus, Ohio. I'm just south of Alicia. And I also have my second business, and where I do coaching and consulting, and I focus on helping multi-passionate entrepreneur, mostly therapists, but other helping professionals as well, overcome burnout by diversifying their income streams, and specifically by becoming approved CEU providers so that they can become educators as well. I really believe that for me, having diverse streams of income is the key. There is no way I could sit in my office and do therapy for 30 or 40 hours a week. No way. I can barely do 15 anymore. That's even too many. So, to be a good therapist, I need a low caseload, and that means that I need other income streams. So I help people do that in a sustainable way. In fact, Jenny and I have a program that we created together called Bob, where it stands for Burned Out to Brave. And we help people, really simplify that process of choosing just one thing. That seems to be a theme today. Choose just one thing to focus on and, just get it out into the world. Overcome the barriers and just get it out there so you can start to get momentum. Because I think what a lot of us creative types do is we want to do the big, huge thing. We have the huge vision and we want to do 55 things, but you've got to start with one. If you start with 55 and a giant vision, you're not going to do it because you're going to be overwhelmed and there's going to be too many steps between here and there. So I really believe in just starting with the first step. So that's me. That's my business. My offer is different from what I usually do, but I need to talk about time first. First, I'll share my time tips. So I am somebody who does well with structure, and I find that it helps me to actually schedule in creative time. Just this week, I'm trying a new thing where I'm scheduling in time to check email in the morning and then at the end of the day. Otherwise, I'll feel like I have to stay on top of it all day long. I live my life in 25-minute increments. I love the Pomodoro technique because I tend to be more hyper-focused. I'll get on a task and 4 hours will go by and I've gone down a rabbit hole and, didn't even get half the things done that I meant to do. So if I do a 25-minute block, that stops me from being completely sucked in and it helps me stay more focused on just one thing. Again, one task. So let's say I want to do, even in my personal life, let's say I want to do a ton of yard work, hours worth of yard work. Okay, I can cut back those hostas in one 25-minute block. And I set the timer. I literally set a timer and I do that task. And then when the 25 minutes is up, I take a break, I shift gears for a little bit, and then I choose the next 25-minute. And I do that in my business and my personal, and it's the best tool I've found for me to stay on track.
Yeah,
So
I
let's
love
see.
the Pomodoro. I think it is so helpful and more people need to know about it.
Yes. And there's some cute things out there that are free. Like I have a big monitor behind my laptop. And you can find some aesthetic Pomodoros that are like a cute little cafe or a rainy day in Paris or whatever. And I put that on my monitor and then the timer is just in the middle of that. You click start, you focus on your task. On my phone, I have one that it'll drop a little tomato onto the screen every time you do a Pomodoro. Or there's ones where you can grow a tree. And when you do so many, it'll like plant a real tree. And there are lots of different productivity tools. But if you haven't heard of Pomodoro, Google Pomodoro.
I have a lot of clients who use it. It works really well for folks with ADHD.
Yes, for sure.
So it's a great tool.
It is an amazing tool. Yeah. Okay. So,
tell us about your offer.
Yes, thank you. I'm like, where am I going next? To my offer.
Where are we going? What are we
here for?
You're really cool, like different offer.
Yeah, so I did come up with a really different offer this time. And Alicia, yours is really different too from what you did last year. We both did, all three of us were in the Therabundle last year. And we all three did some variation on burnout and compassion fatigue and vicarious trauma. Well, this year, there is such a focus in the online digital world on working towards becoming more accessible and more inclusive. Whether you are a brick and mortar business and you have a website, whether you're a digital course creator, a therapist, no matter what you're doing, if you are in business, it is critically important to become more accessible and inclusive in your work, not only because it's the right thing to do, but it's going to become, I think, more and more required. Like even to get into Therabundle, our wonderful Therabundle host, asked about how is your offer inclusive, and some things out there, some business things require that it be accessible in certain ways, that it show inclusivity and diversity in certain ways. So for someone who has no idea where to start with that, it can feel really overwhelming. There's a lot to look at and a lot to think about, a lot that you probably haven't even realized was a thing. So I created an audit tool, and it's called Inclusify Your Offers, a digital accessibility and inclusivity tool for all of your offers. And there are 4 checklists. The first one is the digital accessibility checklist, and that helps you check for things like fonts, colors, contrast, things you may have never even thought of. And I have a funny story about when I created this audit tool. I made a really pretty Google Doc. I took a course on how to make a really interactive, beautiful Google Doc. It was branded in my colors. It was clickable. It was fillable. It was gorgeous. And then when I tested it all, because I wanted to have integrity about this process and test out my own offer, and guess what? It wasn't accessible because Google Docs, when you use a table, they scroll horizontally. Scroll horizontally is bad. That does not adjust on screen readers and different device sizes. So that's one of the things that you're looking for is responsiveness of your website on different devices. So I had to redo my whole audit tool, and it's not as cute, but it's much more accessible. And a lot of times, honestly, that is the case. Like, you don't want this super fancy, complicated website. You want it to flow easily. You want it to be logical. And you want the buttons to be big and noticeable. And you want, Alicia, you mentioned earlier having like the alt text. You want alt text on your images so that someone who's vision impaired, their reader can tell them what's in that picture. So that's all the digital accessibility stuff. Then the second audit tool is the diversity and inclusion tool. So you're looking for, are you being culturally sensitive? Are you being inclusive to people of all different backgrounds? And the third one is the neurodiversity audit, is how does your offer, your digital product website, how does it hold up for neurodiverse folks? Again, is it super complicated? Is it jumping all over the place? And then finally, it's the barriers checklist, which is looking for, again, things you may not have thought of, but things like financial barriers. And I'm not saying that I want anyone to charge less than what they're worth, but could you maybe consider an extended payment plan for someone who has a financial barrier? Could you consider maybe different price points or a sliding scale or a scholarship? Also, schedule accessibility. One of my big learning curves has been time zones. It's super challenging. Do you have a tool that can help you quickly interpret time zones and work with people in different time zones? Another barrier is if you're having an event in person, like you're giving a CEU training, is that space accessible? Did you think about dietary restrictions? So like I said, as you can see, it's a lot to think about. And it's a lot of things that are easy to miss. So I just made it super easy with these 4 checklists to just run through and say, did I think about these things? No one's going to do it perfectly. The idea is to just be taking steps to work towards making it more accessible and inclusive. And my hope is that this is a time saver too, because you don't have to go get a degree in DE&I. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just use my little checklist and, try to be more inclusive and accessible.
I love it. Even the ripple effect though too of like if everyone can kind of start doing some of these tools, that's going to save consumers time then of connecting to the correct resources and getting the help that they need. And so it's a time saver for the therapist, but also I believe that ripple effect.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yeah, absolutely. All right. So anything else that anybody wants to add?
I'm just super excited about this year's Therabundle. There are so many great offers. And if you take away nothing else from this, remember to zero in, pick your top 3 or 5 and focus on those.
Absolutely. That is such great advice. And remember, you are still getting your money's worth. If they sit in some folder in your email and you never actually take advantage of them, then you're not getting your money's worth. So less is more.
And there's those sign up parties too. And so you can go to those. And I know our host Tamara mentioned that the people who went last year, were able to say, here are kind of my struggles, or here are my goals. Which offers would you recommend? And she knows these offers like the back of her hand. And so if you say, hey, I want this, what 3 to 5 offers would be best for this? she's going to give you those. And then you can
Oh.
check those out, and that's a time saver.
That's such a good point. So if you would go to her and say, this year, I really want to focus on streamlining my content creation. And she's going to say, boom, here's your 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you don't have to scroll all 90 and be like, this one looks good, this one looks good, because they all
Yeah.
look good. I had to like constrain myself today to not enroll in anymore because I did my 10 and I was like, oh.
Yeah. I bet that you get tempted to sign up for a few more before it's
Oh,
over.
I know I will. I did one extra today. And so I feel like I'll give myself permission to do like
Yeah.
one a day.
Okay. One a day. And it's open till December 1st. So you'll end up signing up
Oh,
for
gosh.
93.
Well, cart closes on Halloween.
That's true.
And then you can sign up for offers anytime after you purchase up until December 1st.
That's right. Good clarification. Yes, the doors close on December 31st. Tomorrow, our bundle host
October
is
31st?
strict
October
about
30th.
this. There is no, oh, I missed the deadline. Can I still get in? No, she shuts the website down. I'm being totally serious. It is gone after or October 31st. But once you're in, you can sign up for things until December 1st. And the vast majority of the offers are as long as the offer exists. So the lifetime of the offer, you have it. And, you know, we all have very strict requirements that we treat our bundle customers just like we would any paying customer. So any bonuses we offer or client only Facebook groups or, you know, anything like that, it's going to be just as if you went to our website and bought it yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Yay. Okay. Well, it's wonderful
so much
chatting
for
with you,
hosting
ladies.
this.
Of course.
This is my favorite part of Therabundle, just
Me
like talking
too.
with other people.
Me
Yeah.
too. And we did this last year, and I just have made so many dear, dear friends and colleagues. And I just love the collaborative spirit. And it's just really the only way I want to do business is lifting each other up, because competing is not for me.
Yep.
Preach.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody out there in streaming land, I'll go ahead and stop our live stream now. So after this is done, I will drop my affiliate link underneath. And, you know, as Jenny and Alicia share, anytime you see a Therabundle contributor sharing, that's their own personal affiliate link. And we do each get a share of the Therabundle, which is wonderful. But the real reason we're doing this is for the collaboration. Yeah. So, okay. Everybody have a wonderful night. Talk to you soon.